Hi guys, so today we're going to be looking at our really cute little teddy bear tutorial. This can be used for Valentine's as it sits perfectly on a little heart biscuit, or it can just be a tutorial how to make a really cute little teddy bear. So if you've got one of the packs that will have arrived, you'll have the biscuit. You can use the biscuit as a template. You can roll out your pink icing and use a knife to cut round your biscuit and give yourself a nice little pink heart on top of your biscuit. So we'll pop that out the way for now. The icing that I'm using in these tutorials is the Renshaw Ready to Roll, and that's what I'll be sending out. You can get other icings if you do a lot of model making. You can get all manner of different icings, but this is a really simple one for beginners. So the first thing we're going to do when we've rolled out our little bit of pink, we're going to get the caramel or the teddy bear brown, and we're going to pull it in half, pop our icing back in our bag to make sure that that stays soft. Knead it in our hand, or you can knead it on your board. The board I'm using is a non-stick board, but if you've got a tabletop or a work surface in the kitchen, that's absolutely fine. Roll it into a ball. It's Brussels sprout size, and then using your hands create a tear shape, so a teardrop shaped teddy bear. So that is his body. Now that's massive, so I'm just going to make that a bit smaller, so a small Brussels sprout. So there's our little body. That's a bit better. Now I'm using one of these tools. I'm not quite sure what you can use instead. You could probably use a palette knife or a sharp knife just to rub up the middle to create a line so it looks like stitches. Or if you've got a cocktail stick, you could do that by hand. Next thing we're going to do are his legs. So we will roll our ball, roll it into a sausage, and these are really, really simple. So make the middle of our sausage skinnier, like so. So keep the fat bits on the end, so you've got a little bulbous bit on the end, and you're going to roll that really skinny. You're going to use your knife and you're going to cut two legs. So we don't want our legs super duper long. I'm just going to put that out of the way. And then what we can do is, I don't know if you can see that I'm just pinching the little fatter bit, okay? And immediately it gives us a teddy bear's foot. I'm going to do the same again on this side. I'm going to squeeze it and flatten it, and you can see I've kept my skinny bit, and that's the fatter bit on the end, and then I'm going to just push my finger, make it into like a bit of a golf club shape. Okay, I'm going to use my boning tool, or if you've not got a boning tool, you can use a sharp knife. If you're doing this as a small person, you need a grown-up to just help you if you're using a sharp knife. So you can see it does exactly the same whether you're using the sharp knife or you're using the boning tool. Okay, squash those bits flat at the top of the legs using the edible glue, and don't forget, if you've not got edible glue, you can use vodka or you can use water. The only reason that we use vodka or gin is because it evaporates when it's drying. Okay, so we've just popped his feet underneath, so his legs under the body. You can have the feet going inwards, you can have one leg going outwards. That's quite cute, isn't it? So I might do that. So you just manipulate the icing as to where you want his legs to sit. Next thing we're going to do, so we're going to rummage around, get a little bit more of the caramel coloured. Now every time I handle the icing, I give it a good squidge and make sure that it's all okay and it's soft and ready to work with. So we're going to do exactly the same again as we did for his legs. We're going to roll this out. So thinking of his arms, it's going to be really, really skinny at the top. I'm just going to pause my rolling out. I'm going to put a tiny bit of glue where his shoulders would go. All right. So really skinny little arms, but keeping a knobbly bit on the end because that's going to be his hand. So I've got to roll this right down because this is going to be a massive arm, isn't it? So we get that rolled right down like that. Okay, and then we're going to cut him a little arm. So I'm going to do that and that just there, and then I'm just in my hand going to make it a tiny bit skinnier. Same again, I'm going to pinch the fatter end and make it flat. Then I'm going to hold it up against my teddy bear and think, oh, it's a little bit fat, so I'm going to make it skinnier again. And then I'm going to cut the top and I'm going to stick that on. Give it a bit of a wiggle till you're happy with where the arm's sitting. And then I'm going to bring his hand round. So I'm just going to wiggle that a little bit more so I can manipulate that into where I want it to sit. Like so. Okay, then I'm going to do the same again with the other arm. Going to make it super skinny worm. I'm going to press it down on the board or pinch it between my thumb and my finger. I'm going to put a little bend in it and I'm going to look at where that's going to sit. So I'm going to cut the top off like that. Okay, put my icing back in the bag a minute and I'm going to sit my teddy bear up. So you can fiddle around until you're happy with where everything's going to sit. So that's his little hand. So you can manipulate the hands. You can move your teddy bear. I'm just going to move this one so I don't knock him over. Until you're happy that your hands are what you want them to look like. Your arms are in the place where you want them to be. Okay, then I'm going to use my boning tool again. Just give him a little indent at his elbow and another little indent back there so we know where his arms are. If the shoulders have slipped forward, you can push those back because the glue won't set straight away. Let me turn him so you can see him. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to use a piece of spaghetti this time. So you can use wooden skewer or a piece of spaghetti or a cocktail stick. Pop it straight down through the middle of the body and then just snap it off. Probably a little bit lower for his head. Now spaghetti is brilliant because you can eat that. You can eat raw spaghetti. If you use a piece of wood, so if you use a skewer or a cocktail stick, you must tell the person so they don't take a bite and impale themselves. So next thing, so we've got our really cute little body done. Next thing we're going to do is just roll a ball and have a look at this. So get an idea of size by holding it up. Oh, I don't know, maybe. And while you've got this in your hand, you can roll a pea-shaped size. Hold that up because that's going to become his muzzle and then his two ears. So two smaller balls again. So the best thing if you want two smaller balls is roll a slightly larger ball and cut it in half. Then that way you're making two the same size. You're making a pair for his ears. Right, so what we're going to do next, we're going to put a tiny bit of glue on the front of his face. Like so. We might as well pop that on actually. So pop that on. So there is our teddy bear's head. With the pea-shaped ball, make sure there's no creases in it, and then just push it with your finger so it almost becomes like a really soft triangle. And we're going to pop that on the front of our teddy bear. So that's his little muzzle. We're going to use our boning tool or our sharp knife and go up the front and indent it. And then we're going to roll the two little balls that we've got into two little ears. So we're going to pop a bit of glue either side at the top, wherever you want his ears. They can sit right at the top or they can sit round to one side. So again, I'm going to use my boning tool and I'm going to squash that down to create a little ear. Or if I've not got a boning tool, I can use a paintbrush. Exactly the same. I'm going to squash it down. Gives you a little ear. I'm then going to stick those where my glue is, like so. So there's my little teddy bear. If he keeps leaning back too much, lean him up on something while you're working on him, and as he sets you can move that out of the way. So we've got to put his eyes in next. So where we want his eyes to go, we use a tiny bit of glue each side. Now for his eyes, I'm using the sugar pearls, which are just here. They'll come in the pack. Otherwise you can roll 2 small bits of black icing. So pick out 2 sugar pearls that are about the same size. And then drop them like I normally do. Then push your eyes in. So wherever you want your eyes to go, where you've popped your glue, you can push your eyes in for your teddy bear. So he immediately looks like a super cute little teddy bear. Next thing we're going to do is give him his nose. So I've got a piece here of a slightly darker brown, or you could use a pink, whatever you want to use. So because this is a chocolate based brown, it's really sticky, which you can see it's stuck straight to my hands this morning. So give it a roll in your hand, pop a bit of glue where you want it to sit, the top of his muzzle. You can push it down so it's a bit more like a triangle. And then you can pop his nose on and you can push it flat so it sits exactly where you want it to sit. Now you can either leave him there to set or you can pop him on your biscuit. So we'll put a bit of glue on the biscuit and then we'll pop our teddy bear on so he can be sitting on this side on this biscuit. I'm going to put that back behind him so he can't lean back too much until he's set. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is make a tiny little raise. Now this is without using any cutters and this is really, really easy. So I'm going to get the pinky red and the green out of my bag. So we'll start with the green. If you need to wash your hands between touching all the different colours, that's a really good idea. Okay, so green. I'm going to make 2 little leaves. You really don't need much icing for this, so you can see I've got 2 tiny pieces of green. I'm going to roll them into a point, if you can see that very clearly. I'm going to roll it into a point in my hand, then I'm going to squash it down with my finger. So immediately you've got a leaf shape. I'm then going to use either my sharp knife or my boning tool and make the middle of the leaf. So I'm going to make the vein. Okay, let me see if I can hold those up. I'll hold them up on a palette knife. So that is my leaf. I'm then going to put a tiny bit of glue where I want my rose. So I might put my rose over here this time. Don't forget these biscuits are yours, so you can design them how you like. You don't have to copy mine, but this is just to give you a bit of guidance. So there's the leaves for my biscuit, for my little rose. Okay, next thing I'm going to do, now these are called ribbon roses. You can actually make these out of ribbon or out of icing. So I'm going to roll quite a skinny bit of icing. Okay. I'm then going to use my knife. I'm not going to drag the knife, I'm just going to cut. So you can see I'm not dragging the knife through, I'm rocking the blade and I'm just cutting a straight line top and bottom, probably about ½ centimetre. I'm then going to just roll it. So you can see I am just nothing more technical than rolling that rose. When I'm happy with what it looks like, I'm going to bend the petal back, give it a wiggle at the bottom, and there's your little rose. If you can see that very clearly. I'm going to use a pair of scissors or a knife, it doesn't matter what, and just cut the excess icing off the bottom. And there's my little rose. So I'm going to glue that onto my leaves. I could put 3 roses, I could put 1 rose, whatever you want to do. So just pop that on there. Like so. And the last thing we do, now this is an edible tint, this is an edible dust that I'm going to use, but you can use a little bit of eye makeup or a little bit of blusher. Get a tiny bit on your brush, dust it off on the back of your hand so you've not got loads, and then just dust a tiny little bit on his cheeks, like so. So that just gives a little bit of life to your teddy bear. Brilliant, thanks for watching guys, and we'll be doing a frog tutorial next.